Hi guys, JT here, and today I'll be bringing you some information on the Fanatical Bundle Build Your Own Birthday Favorites Bundle of November 2022. To help you answer the question, should you buy it? I'll run you through 6 games for your consideration in no particular order. If you want to know more about game bundles, then feel free to like this video and subscribe to my channel. It really helps the channel out. So let's get into this. At number 1 we have Graveyard Keeper, a medieval cemetery management simulator. You play as a man who has been hit and killed by a car, and you find yourself in an alternate reality where you're put into the role of a graveyard keeper. Trying to find out what is happening, you seek help from the townspeople, but they don't seem to care for your plight. Before long, you go on to perform your daily grind of being a graveyard keeper. The idea of this game is to make your graveyard look good, but it goes deeper than just planting trees or pretty flowers, and you will actually perform autopsies and ferry dead bodies around your graveyard. The game doesn't give you any tutorials, and you're left to figure things out for yourself, barring some short hints and tips. You gain skill points as you perform various tasks on your graveyard, and you can use these on your skill trees. Skill trees are broken down to a few different categories like crafting, autopsy stuff, among others, and it is actually quite deep. There's always something to do with no time pressure, so you can perform your work however long it may take you, except for dealing with rotting corpses of course, because, you know, bodies do rot over time. You could build headstones, crosses, and other things that you can find in the graveyards. New bodies will also be dropped off to your yard, and you need to perform autopsies on these bodies, removing as many parts of negative sins as possible, hoping that you don't accidentally take the positive sins one out, as putting it back into the body could mess it up. There's also some cannibalism that takes place. Yummy yummy dead bodies. Burying these bodies will net you points, and with enough points, you may be put in charge of the church. Within the church, you can further expand your gameplay, quests, and meet new characters. Your stamina drains as you play, so you won't be burying bodies all day. You'll have to go home to sleep. There's also a bit of combat in this game, but it is not the main focus. This game is about the crafting and building the best yard of graves in town. This game will also see you performing other tasks like farming, shopping, and fishing. You can also enlist the help of the undead helpers, so it doesn't feel too much like a grind on your own. This game feels like a farming sim, but one that has you farming dead bodies. I mean, burying dead bodies instead. It could seem grindy at times, but if you stick with it, it could be quite addictive. And number 2 we have While True, Learn, a puzzle/simulation game involving machine learning, neural networks, big data, and AI. But most importantly, it's about understanding your cat. You play as a machine learning specialist who makes neural networks. After running into a problem that you can't quite solve, you go away to make yourself a cup of coffee. Upon your return, you find that your cat has solved the problem that plagued your mind, and it is actually more of a genius than you. Wanting to find out more from your cat's noodle, you try talking to it, but you don't speak cat, so you set out to build a program to translate cat to English. This game is essentially a node-connecting puzzle game. There are multiple solutions to each puzzle, and they aren't too difficult. The cat translator puzzles, that is. Where the challenge lays is the myriad of puzzles that you have to solve for your paying clients to feed yourself and to buy clothing for your cat. These paying jobs range from sorting out clothing, to predicting election results, and depending on how cheaply and efficiently you have made the software, you get paid accordingly. If you want to earn the gold status in these jobs, they can be very challenging. You can also work as a CTO for various startup companies where the game really shines. The solutions to puzzles in this mode is more open-ended, with your main goal being to keep as many users as possible while reducing costs for the startup servers. While True, Learn is an interesting little puzzle game if you like logical program puzzles and if you want to unlock the secrets of your cat. And number 3 we have Everhood, a rhythm-based adventure RPG game that is not like anything in the market, at least to me anyway. You play as Red, a puppet awakened in a psychedelic world. Your job is to retrieve your stolen arm from an immortal inhabitant of this world called Gold Pig, and together you have to explore the world of Everhood, talking to its inhabitants and fighting others. The story is quite bizarre in its own right, but the battle system is what sets Everhood apart from most 2D RPG games. Instead of the usual turn-based or real-time hack and slash, you go through a rhythm game of sorts, dodging attacks of enemies based on the music tempo. Later in the game, you gain the ability to deflect attacks, etc, etc. Speaking of music tempo, the battle music in this game is absolutely banging, and you will find yourself headbanging to the rhythm. Do note that even though this is an RPG game, there are no skill trees to speak of. Everhood is a great game that you probably have never experienced before. Being this cheap in this bundle, it is definitely worth a try. And number 4 we have Neon Abyss, a roguelike platformer shooter. You play as the Grim Squad, a team of vengeful souls who all have a grudge against the new gods. They've basically killed you and you want payback. Hades gives you a chance at revenge, and you're summoned into Purgatory, which is now an afterlife nightclub. Purgatory acts as your central hub, where you can get information on playable characters, items, and so forth. You'll mainly be either buying permanent upgrades or jumping into the Abyss itself, getting you into the main meat of the game. In the Abyss, you'll be navigating and shooting your way through interconnected rooms while collecting various weapons, perks, and gold. While exploring each level in the Abyss, you'll find boss rooms, which you can choose to go into the first time you bump into them, or come back later once you have done more looting and collecting more powerful weapons. You will also stumble upon various hidden rooms filled with enemies or treasure, and shops to aid you in your run. Most rooms will have you killing some form of enemy, and you have to murder everything in that room before moving on to the next room. Each character that you bring into the Abyss also has their own special skills, which you can trigger like a dodge roll or switching between a gun and a katana, among others. You can unlock more characters and upgrades using gems, which you can obtain by murdering bosses in each level. Being a roguelike, you never really know what weapons you will be getting, nor how the maps actually look like. After 5 levels, you have killed the ultimate target, and the next time you jump into the Abyss, you'll be presented with a new target and a new set of levels, with each new Abysses having more levels and becoming progressively more difficult. To aid you in these harder Abysses are your various perks, weapons, and upgrades that you've collected over time. However, you won't be getting a lot of permanent boosts to your character, so do expect things to get tricky a few hours in. Shooting and platforming can get quite hectic, keeping the pace fast and, well, hectic. It is a gem, and is definitely worth your time if you're willing to spend it on a roguelike. And number 5 we have Praetorians HD Remaster. The remastered HD version of the original 2003 game Praetorians. This game will see you back in the dusty battlefields of Egypt, the combat theaters of Gaul, and the heart of the Roman Empire itself, Italy, in a crusade to become emperor. This game is essentially a visual makeover of the original game. If you're expecting more content not seen in the original, you'll be disappointed. The core of the game is of a classic RTS, but rather than focusing on resource gathering or base building, you'll be far more focused on moving and using your unit's abilities to their best advantage, to turn the tables in battle. You can use the famous turtle defense when coming up against ranged enemy units, or siege units that can be used to weaken fortresses, and ladders used to storm high walls. There are some genuinely fun units and dynamics to enjoy. This game also includes the standard affairs of old RTS games, like taking over buildings and garrisons and recruiting new troops to join your cause. Being a mere HD retexture, the game will feel old in parts, like restrictive camera angles which won't allow you to rotate your camera, which is a feature that most RTSs have these days. Praetorians HD Remaster seem to have a mixed reaction, with some people being very disappointed at not receiving new content, while others loving the fact that the game focuses more on strategy involving your troops as opposed to resource gathering and base building. And number 6 we have Partisans 1941, a systems-driven real-time tactics game set in the Russian backwoods during World War II. You play as a group of Russian resistance fighters, dedicated to giving Hitler a difficult time while his armies sweep across the Soviet Union during Operation Barbarossa. From your base situated deep in the forest, your team embarks on a series of increasingly daring raids against the Nazi occupation and infrastructure. This game is more free-flowing than a lot of tactical strategy games, allowing for player experimentation and muddling your way through when you get things wrong. The basics of this game is similar to most other real-time tactics games, with each mission seeing you pick several of your partisans to complete an objective in a large, openly explorable map before safely returning back to your camp. These maps are swarming with guards ranging from Politsei, who are Russian citizens working for the Nazis, to soldiers of the SS, wielding machine guns. Their complex arrangement and sweeping vision cones make every step fraught with danger. You have to evade, trick, and ambush these patrols to move closer to your goal. Your partisans start off with only a single knife and a handful of rocks which you can use to distract guards. But soon you'll be able to scavenge for guns and grenades, to mines and tripwires to help you take out enemies. Each partisan is also equipped with unique skills and abilities. As an example, one of your partisans is a close combat expert, and one is able to disguise himself to distract enemies. You'll also unlock snipers, explosive experts, and a thief further in the game. The guard's detection is based on a vision cone and sound, so if you rustle around too much in the foliage, you will be heard. So you may think, that's alright, I'll just assassinate all of them quietly like Ezio Auditore da Firenze. But be careful, because body thuds are quite loud, and if an enemy hears a body thudding, it can turn ugly quite quickly. However, even after you're detected, it isn't game over. Combat is as much a part of the game as stealth, but it's advisable that you thin their numbers out first. Most missions can be played quite aggressively though, giving some flexibility to the gameplay. Outside of missions, in your forest camp, a resource management minigame awaits where you need to find food and resources to keep your camp running, while sending your partisans on autonomous side missions for various rewards. Your weapons and equipment also carry over to the next mission, so you have to watch your bullets from start to finish. Each mission gets incrementally more ambitious than the last, starting with convoy assaults with blowing up of bridges and murdering of local officers to look forward to. The more you play partisans, the more you will enjoy it. And those are my recommendations for games in the Build Your Own Birthday Favorites Bundle of November 2022. Even though most games are not very good, the ones on this list will keep you busy for a little while. Although in saying that, a lot of these were already available in previous bundles. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.